Mayor Tiffany Henyard is facing re-election. She's up against Jason House following a year of WGN Investigates reporting into her spending. And WGN's Jenna Barnes live in Dalton now with the latest. Jenna.
Hi, Ray and Micah. We've been talking to voters here at Lincoln Elementary School in Dalton, and the word we keep hearing over and over again is change. That means different things to different voters. One man I talked to off camera tells me he's voting for change at the Board of Trustees level, but he's sticking with Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Others tell us it is time for a new leader here in Dalton.
Things that just have been happening have not been okay, and it's important to make a stand. And I'm bringing my daughter to show her the importance of making our voice heard in the community.
Kiana Duke says she's a dedicated voter in Dalton, but this Democratic mayoral primary is different than past elections.
Having an African-American woman vote running for, the town that we live in was amazing and great. However, the thing that has happened, the climate, the morale, everything that has gone down hasn't been great for our community.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard under fire not only for her leadership style.
You the ones that's costing the village money. I don't have that call. All right.
But also questionable spending of taxpayer money on lavish first-class travel revealed by WGN Investigates. The FBI served subpoenas at Dalton Village Hall last April, and an independent investigation from former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot found thousands of dollars spent on village credit cards at retailers like Amazon.
I'm stopping the boys, I'm feeding the people.
Dancing to her own song while meeting with voters, the self-proclaimed super mayor not showing any sign of worry.
But I am confident that I will have a landslide this evening. My residents do love me despite fake news not showing the good that I do in the community, because I do a ton of good. But y'all just painted me as bad news for 4 years.
Her former ally, Jason House, who's led the challenge for transparency on the Board of Trustees, is the one vying to replace her in office.
Primary election today, including Dalton embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard facing a challenge. Are voters ready for a change?
Dane Placco is live with a closer look at the race. Dane?
Yeah, we're at the Diekman Elementary School here in Dalton, which today is doubling as a polling place. And as a matter of fact, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard herself voted here just about a half hour ago. Now, we've been talking to some of the Dalton residents coming and going today to vote, most of whom, in fact, all of whom told us they're ready for a change.
I think it's over. You got to do something good with the power you get if you just throw it away.
Previous mayor, she ran into some challenges. She started out really strong and, had a lot of support. But
challenges.
Now the way the village is going, it's just time for a new direction.
Higher than a normal, usually, but yeah.
These municipal elections are generally lightly attended, but we're told turnout has been very heavy here in Dalton, which has become the center of national attention because of its controversial and flamboyant Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who's also the subject of an ongoing federal investigation into spending, hiring, and contracts. An investigation by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot found that Ave Village millions of dollars in the red, with hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card expenditures that just could not be explained. Henyard was actually voted out of office a couple years ago in a recall election, but those results were overturned in court. Now, over the last few months, the village government has descended into chaos, with meetings being canceled or disrupted and little or no legislation getting approved. Henyard is being challenged by Dalton trustee Jason House, who told us a short time ago he's optimistic about becoming Dalton's next mayor.
What are you seeing on the ground today?
On the ground, we're seeing a good turnout of residents. People's voices will be heard at a higher level than it was before, and a lot of support. So we expect the victory tonight.
I think that people didn't give me a chance. I think that I was blindsided from the go. I came in 2021. When I came in 2021, I was faced with a recall. So every year, it was something else. Then they took me off the bank account. And then the next year was something else. So you never gave me the opportunity to continue to govern, and I want the opportunity to govern my town.
Now, Henyard is also claiming that there was election suppression here in Dalton, although she didn't specify exactly how. I also asked her what she plans to do if she doesn't win tonight, and her answer was very interesting. I'll have more about that at 5 o'clock. Polls here close at 7 o'clock this evening. Live in Dalton, Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
That was just a day or so before. No, that was the morning of the elections, right? Everybody was still high in Tiffany Henyard's camp. Her entire camp was still arrogant about the election. They were still believing that the turnout from the city residents would end favorably for them, and that in the end, she would be reelected as mayor. I don't know how. I do not know how in the world she believed that she was going to get another term as mayor after they had already tried to recall her. It just so happened that the way that it played out, that it was done, quote unquote, illegally, so it didn't go through and it was rescinded. That was the only reason that she was still allowed to be mayor. She's standing up here talking about, they never gave me a chance. Ma'am, you had 4 years. You were elected in 2021, it's 2025. You had 4 years to get this band together. And what they're finding that you did was you did nothing but steal from the city, misuse the taxpayers and residents' money, and then in turn you use that money to bolster your own lifestyle, live lavishly, steal from the city, and threaten people with your mayoral power. Well, now I think it's time to see what happened after that.
Dalton residents are ready for a change. Tiffany Henyard has been voted out of the mayor's office.
Joni joins us now with details on this major defeat for Tiffany Henyard. Joni, good morning.
Good morning. Dalton voters, they handed Mayor Tiffany Henyard the defeat and victory to the challenger, Jason House, who will move on to the general election. House won 88% of the vote in what was a bigger turnout than the last election 4 years ago. Now, Mayor Tiffany Henyard yesterday predicted a landslide, but it went the other way. She has been under investigation by the FBI. The Board of Trustees hired Lori Lightfoot to look into the village's finances. Yet Henyard kept her confidence when she visited the polls. Jason House promised more transparency in Dalton and said that the results represent a new future for the village. But Henyard said, don't count her out.
Don't win, what are you going to do?
I might run for something bigger. You never know. We're not going to talk about that until we get the results, but I am confident that I will have a landslide this evening. My residents do love me despite fake news not showing the good that I do in the community, because I do a ton of good, but y'all just painted me as bad news for 4 years.
We faced 4 years of intimidation, 4 years of failure, and tonight is the new day for the community as a whole.
And Mayor Henyard apparently didn't show up last night after the results were in. Jason House,
I bet she did.
He will face independent candidate Cassandra Hobson-Jordan. That election is April 1st. Voter turnout for this election was about 24%, but 4 years ago it was under 10%. Reporting live in Dalton, I'm Joni Lum. Back to you.
A 24% turnout versus a 10% turnout. That means that more than double the amount of people showed up for this election than they did the last one, which means that by hook or by crook, the residents of Dalton were determined to get Tiffany Henyard the hell up out of office. And make no mistake about it, I don't know what she's talking about. Maybe she's just trying to show face, because that's what people do when they realize that they're facing an overwhelming defeat, right? But Tiffany Henyard's career, her political career and her political campaign is done. She is done in politics. She'll never have another seat anywhere on any board ever again. Not with the track history that she has created for herself over the past 4 years. I don't know why anyone would ever vote for this woman ever again. She will likely have to go and apply for a job at the local Walmart. Now listen, Tiffany, when you get up in there, I don't know whether you're going to be working night shift or whether you're going to be on days. It don't matter. Make sure you have your vest on. Make sure you have your hair tied up. You might want to keep them wigs. You might want to keep them wigs and lace fronts at home. Walmart is not the place for that. We want you in here. We want you here doing work. Okay? When you show up, we want you on time. We want you ready. And we want you active. Okay? We want you to be as active as you was and as vocal as you was when you was the mayor in them Walmart meetings. in them Stafford team meetings in the mornings, all right? We want that same energy. Now, I think that them bringing in Lori Lightfoot was probably the best thing that they could have done. Because, and Lori Lightfoot is not without her own problems, but we're not here to talk about that. Lori Lightfoot coming in and going over and mulling over the finances and the expenditures of Tiffany Henyard's, of her people, of her entire staff, was one of the greatest decisions they could have done, because Lori Lightfoot exposed a wealth of knowledge. We already knew, and the residents already knew, that she was misusing taxpayer dollars. We knew that. That wasn't a shock. What was a shock was all of the other additional money that Lori Lightfoot was able to find that Tiffany Henyard's team had been spending frivolously for years. Blowing money left and right, like it was falling off trees in the city. I think the residents of Dalton have learned a valuable lesson from this. I also think that they will be much more. You see, it already worked as far as getting voter participation, right? They had more than double the voters show up this year. That's progress. I don't care how you look at it. They dropped the ball last year, 4 years ago. Let this woman get in office. She got in there and she was a menace to their entire city. I think they learned from that. They said, you know what? It's not going to happen again. They said it's not going to happen again. Not on our watch. And so Tiffany came in there and she said, I think it's going to be a landslide. Well, she was right. She was right. It was a landslide. It was just a landslide coming in the other direction. You was looking ahead. You should have been looking behind you. 88%, they said. I want to focus on that. 88% of the votes went for the other candidate. That means only 12% of voters, the voters that showed up, was there for Tiffany. That is a crushing defeat. Crushing defeat. Way worse than how Kamala lost. Her political career is done, y'all. And unfortunately, going forward, the only bad part about this is that we won't have any more clips or videos to review over here on Millionaire Money Minds. That's the bad thing about it, is that we will no longer see Tiffany Henyard out here. We will not have to deal with her annoying voice to antics, and we won't have any more videos to review, unfortunately, because she's not going to hold a political seat anywhere else. And that is I would damn near guarantee it. Right. But anyway, listen, y'all, let me know what you think down in the comments. I think this has been a lesson for all the residents of Dalton, and not just Dalton, for all of us to get out, vote. It matters. And put in candidates that are capable of leading your city and do not have any nefarious goals or deals behind them. She had no business being in that seat ever. And it's unfortunate that they had to learn the hard way, but I think they know now. Anyway, drop a comment. I'll see you on the next one. Later.